In the heart of Rome, behind ancient walls and beneath the golden glow of St. Peter's Basilica, lies one of the most secretive financial institutions in the world. The Vatican Bank. Officially known as the Institute for the Works of Religion, this isn't just any bank. It's a bank surrounded by whispers of mystery, scandal, and billions in hidden assets. But how did a religious institution come to control so much money? And why has its name surfaced in some of the most shocking financial scandals in history? Let's open the vault and find out. The year is 1942. Europe is in chaos. Bombs rain down. Nations crumble. And in the shadows of the Second World War, something unusual happens. Inside the hallowed walls of the Vatican, Pope Pius XII quietly signs into existence a new institution. The Institute for the Works of Religion. Its mission? To manage funds designated for religious works and charity. But this wasn't just another Vatican department. This was a bank. A bank unlike any other on earth. It wasn't under the control of any nation. It wasn't subject to international financial law, and it didn't pay taxes anywhere. It operated under the Vatican's own sovereign laws. A state within a state. A financial ghost ship invisible to most of the world. By design, the Vatican Bank was separate from the Church's main governing body, the Holy See, giving it even more independence. At first, the bank's activity was small, focused on handling church donations and investments for Catholic institutions. But over the decades, it grew. And so did the temptation. The unique combination of absolute secrecy, moral authority, and global access to money created the perfect conditions for financial abuse. And before long, the Vatican Bank was at the center of allegations involving money laundering, mafia ties, and political slush funds. So how does the Vatican Bank get its money? The answer? Everywhere. The Vatican Bank, officially known as the IOR, serves just a few thousand clients, but they're not your average account holders. We're talking about Catholic dioceses from around the world, religious orders and congregations, cardinals, bishops, and high-ranking church officials, and charities closely linked to the Vatican. These clients deposit funds from donations, tithes, inheritances, and investments. In total, the bank manages roughly 5 to 6 billion euros in assets, according to official reports in recent years. But that's just one stream of the Church's financial river. Outside the IOR, the Catholic Church owns an enormous global real estate empire. Estimates suggest the Church owns between 70,000 to 100,000 properties worldwide, many of them in some of the most expensive cities on the planet, including luxury apartment buildings in Rome, Paris, and London, entire city blocks in Buenos Aires, and landmark sites across Europe, South America, and the US. In 2018, a report revealed that just in Italy alone, the Church owned about 20% of all real estate in the country, much of it untaxed. Then there's Peter's Pence, a worldwide annual collection taken up in Catholic churches, supposedly to support the Pope's charitable activities. In theory, this fund is meant to help the poor, but in practice, investigations have revealed that up to 90% of Peter's Pence has gone toward covering the Vatican's operating budget and, more recently, financing real estate deals, including a luxury property investment in London's Chelsea district that became the subject of scandal. The Church also receives millions in legacy donations each year, wealthy Catholics who leave fortunes to the Church in their wills. Sometimes cash, sometimes stocks, even valuable art and land. And then there are the investments in banks, insurance, and even oil and pharmaceuticals. Yet, the full scale of Vatican wealth remains unclear. There is no consolidated balance sheet, and while the Vatican has started releasing financial reports in recent years, critics argue the figures are selectively reported and far from complete. One thing is certain: the Catholic Church isn't just a spiritual powerhouse. It's a global financial empire, one that spans centuries, continents, and billions of dollars. and the Vatican Bank is its most secretive vault. By the 1970s and 80s, the Vatican Bank wasn't just quietly managing religious donations. It had become entangled in a web of money laundering, organized crime, and political corruption. So dark, it could have been ripped from a Hollywood script. But this wasn't fiction. This was real. And at the center of it all was a man nicknamed God's Banker, Roberto Calvi. Calvi was the chairman of Banco Ambrosiano, one of Italy's largest private banks, and it had deep ties to the Vatican Bank. On paper, Banco Ambrosiano was a standard financial institution, but behind closed doors, it was funneling money through shell companies, secret offshore accounts, and fake loans. Where did the money go? To political parties, to covert anti-communist campaigns, and, allegedly, to the mafia. The Vatican Bank served as a major shareholder in Banco Ambrosiano and had guaranteed several of its shady loans, making it deeply implicated in the unfolding scandal. In 1982, the scheme began to unravel. Banco Ambrosiano collapsed. An estimated $1.3 billion vanished. And just days later, Roberto Calvi was found hanging under London's Blackfriars Bridge in what initially looked like a suicide. But there were too many strange details. His pockets were stuffed with bricks and cash. The bridge was known as a gathering spot for the Masonic Lodge Propaganda Due, or P2, a shadowy organization Calvi was tied to. The nickname Blackfriars even led to speculation that it symbolized priests, linking the church directly to the message. The conclusion? Murder, likely by the Sicilian mafia, who reportedly lost money in the scandal. Back in the Vatican, Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, an American cleric and the head of the Vatican Bank at the time, came under fire. Italian authorities tried to bring charges against him, but Marcinkus never stood trial. He stayed within Vatican City, beyond the reach of Italian law, protected by Vatican sovereignty. When pressed by journalists, Marcinkus infamously said, "You can't run the church on Hail Marys." A quote that summed up a troubling truth. The Vatican Bank was not just about faith. It was about power, money, and secrecy. And scandals didn't stop there. In the years that followed, more allegations surfaced. Accounts held by dictators, money moved on behalf of mafiosi, and suspicious transactions involving arms dealers and drug cartels. The Vatican Bank had become, in the eyes of many, a money laundering machine wrapped in robes. By the early 2000s, the Vatican was under intense pressure. Journalists, governments, and even Catholics were demanding answers. Could the Vatican clean up its bank, or had the rot gone too deep? Under Pope Benedict XVI, a few bold moves were made. In 2010, the Vatican created a new agency, the Financial Intelligence Authority, AIF, to monitor transactions and prevent abuse. The bank began publishing annual reports for the first time in its history. Then came Pope Francis, the reformer. Shortly after his election in 2013, he called for sweeping financial reforms and greater transparency. He appointed outsiders to investigate Vatican finances and shut down hundreds of dormant or suspicious accounts. The message was clear: clean house or lose trust. But behind the PR, darker currents remained. In 2020, one of the Vatican's most damaging modern scandals erupted. Millions of euros from Peter's Pence, the global charity fund meant to help the poor, had been secretly used to invest in a luxury property deal in London's Chelsea district. The church had spent around 350 million euros, much of it on high-end real estate brokered by shady financiers and middlemen. Worse, internal whistleblowers claimed that top Vatican officials knew about the scheme. That same year, Cardinal Angelo Becciu, a powerful figure close to Pope Francis, was forced to resign over financial misconduct, making him one of the highest-ranking Vatican officials ever publicly disgraced. And in 2021, the Vatican launched a historic criminal trial against 10 individuals, including Becciu himself, marking a rare moment of accountability within the Church. Still, many believe these trials are just a fraction of the truth. A 2023 report by anti-corruption watchdog suggested that while reforms had begun, financial opacity and insider influence continued to thrive. Even today, the Vatican Bank remains exempt from many European Union financial regulations and operates with unique legal privileges that shield it from full oversight. So the question remains, is this truly a new era for Vatican finance, or just a polished version of the old game? The Vatican Bank is not just any bank. It's the financial engine of the world's oldest, most powerful religious institution, the Roman Catholic Church. With more than 1.3 billion followers, the Church influences everything from global politics to local charity work. And yet, its finances remain shrouded in secrecy. So, why does that matter? Because power without accountability is dangerous, even in sacred robes. When billions flow through an institution that answers to no government, that pays no taxes, and that invokes divine authority, there's always the risk of abuse. We've seen it already. Charity funds diverted for luxury investments. Bank accounts used by criminals and dictators. And cover-ups stretching across decades. This isn't just about money, it's about trust. Every coin dropped into a collection plate, every inheritance willed to the church, every act of faith given in good conscience, deserves transparency. Yet for decades, ordinary Catholics had no idea where their money went. And when light began to shine through the cracks, what it revealed was not divine stewardship, but a financial empire built on secrecy, privilege, and scandal. Even today, the Church is not required to publish consolidated financial statements, and many of its global assets remain uncatalogued and unregulated. Critics argue that the Vatican behaves less like a church, and more like a private wealth fund, disguised in holy vestments. The Church, of course, has done tremendous good, funding schools, hospitals, humanitarian relief, and social justice programs around the world. But the question still stands. Should any religious institution have this much financial power without external accountability? And if the Vatican truly preaches humility and stewardship, why is its money managed in the dark? So, what lies behind the gates of the Vatican Bank? A sanctuary of sacred finance, or a gilded vault hiding centuries of corruption? The truth may never fully be known, but one thing is clear. The Church holds not just spiritual authority, but worldly power. And with that power comes a responsibility to its followers, to the faithful, and to the truth. Thanks for watching. If you found this story interesting, share it with a friend. And if you want to uncover more mysterious ultra-wealthy empires, make sure to subscribe. See you in the next one.